How should you start a newsletter? That's the topic I'm addressing today with the right question. I'm Daphne Gray Grant, the publication coach, still in pandemic mode. I have a question from Edson Bueno, a writer based in San Carlos, Brazil. Here's what he asked by email. I'm planning on starting a newsletter. Can you share any tips you've collected while writing one yourself? Any special advice about what works and what doesn't? Thanks for your question, Edson. My newsletter is more than 14 years old right now, and I've published more than 760 issues. Here are my 7 tips for you. 1. Decide on your publishing frequency. You should publish at least once every 2 weeks, and I think once a week is even better. You want readers to remember you. If you're away from their inboxes for more than 2 weeks, they're likely to forget about you, and that can lead to them reporting you as spam. 2. Treat your deadlines as sacred. I never miss a deadline. Even when I had a stroke a number of years ago, I had my son send a message to my subscribers letting them know the newsletter was going to be a couple of days late. Even though my newsletter is free, I assume I have a contract with my readers. They agree to subscribe. I agree to provide the reading material. 3. Don't worry about accumulating columns in advance. Many clients ask me how many columns they should have ready in advance before they launch their newsletter. My answer? None. I learned the hard way. When I started this newsletter, I accumulated 18 columns in advance. Guess what happened? I published all 18 of them without writing another word, and then I was back to square one. It's never been a problem. 4. Earmark a specific day and time for writing your newsletter. I always write mine at 9 a.m. Thursday mornings. This time is practically engraved in my brain. I always decline meetings for that morning, and I don't do anything else. I just write the newsletter. 5. Pick topics in advance of your writing day. Identifying topics is at least as challenging as writing about them, but I read widely and I keep digital files of potential ideas. Then I scroll through these ideas regularly to identify my topics well in advance. This long-term planning allows me to think about the idea at the back of my brain for a long time before writing. By the way, even though I've done this newsletter for 14 years, I have never run out of topics to write about. If you read a lot, you won't either. 6. Have a system for editing. Most newsletters are free, so the vast majority of people can't afford to hire an external editor. But I do a vigorous self-edit first, and then I work with a friend of mine who also does her own newsletter. Essentially, we trade editing jobs. She edits mine, I edit hers. See if you can set up a similar arrangement with a friend of yours. 7. Put good logistical supports into place. You'll need to hire an email distribution service. The best known ones are Mailchimp and Aweber. See links below. Mailchimp is free until you exceed 2,000 customers, but the big downside is they have no personalized support. For this reason, I started my newsletter with Aweber, and I found them to be quite reasonable. More recently, I switched to a bigger and much more expensive platform called ActiveCampaign. It gives me far more flexibility in terms of tracking my customers, but it's likely to be far too expensive for anyone just starting out. Launching a newsletter is an exciting enterprise. Just be sure to give yourself enough time to do it. I find mine takes me about 2 hours a week. Finally, let me wrap up with a quote from American businesswoman Linda Resnick. Since the advent of the internet, everyone can be a published voice. Any cowardly anonymous angermonger can have an audience of thousands. That doesn't make them a journalist any more than my throwing an onion and a few carrots into a pot of boiling water makes me Julia Child. Edson, Linda Resnick makes an excellent point. Humility is a necessary ingredient for any newsletter. While I view myself as something of an expert on writing, I can tell you that I always learn as much from my readers as they learn from me. If you'd like to learn more about how to make your writing a happier and more rewarding process, check out my latest book, Your Happy First Draft. It's not available in bookstores or on Amazon. The only place you can get it is my website, link below and in the show notes.